Okay, so let's get started here on the second page of the closure. So number 9, just like all the other ones before it, I'm always checking for a GCF first if they have anything in common. So it looks like 5 goes into all 3 of these. So I'm going to take out a 5 and divide each by 5. I didn't take out a b because they all don't have a b in common. So when I divide, 5's cancel there. I just have b squared. 30 divided by 5 is 6. Keep my b. And negative 35 divided by 5 is negative 7. Just like the one on the first page, I'm not going to stop here until I check to make sure this is not factorable. So I'm going to check and see, does anything multiply to negative 7 and add to 6? Why did I not multiply this number? There's nothing there, so I could jump right to the diamond with this number and this number. So what two numbers multiply to negative 7 and add to 6? It would be 7 and negative 1. The nice thing is, since there's no number in front right here, I could jump right to my answer. What times what is b squared? It's b times b. Keep my plus 7 from here and my minus 1. The only thing you need to remember is don't forget the 5 in the final answer that you took out at the beginning. Okay, and then last one on the factoring section here. First thing, just like all the other ones, I'm going to check for a GCF. What they have in common, it ends up being x to the first power, the one with the smallest exponent. So I bring that out and I divide. I'm going to subtract my exponents. 3 minus 1 is x squared. Keep the 5. 2 minus 1 is x to the first. And 1 minus 1 makes 0 x's here. Keep my minus 14. Then just like in number 5, or not number 5, number 9, I'm going to do a diamond problem and check to see if I can think of two numbers that multiply to negative 14 and add to 5. It ends up being 7 and negative 2. It does work out. So I could jump right to the factored form and write x plus 7, x minus 2. Just don't forget, we took an x out in the beginning. That should still be a part of that final answer. Okay, so that is all the factoring problems. Notice we didn't do any solving. We didn't get what x was. We didn't get equal to 0. Now all the problems in this next section need to be equal to 0, and we actually want to get what x equals some number and some number for each of the problems. How do you know when you do that? It says solve, and you see the equals 0. If it's not equal to 0, like 15 and 16, we're going to have to make it equal to 0 by moving things to the left side. So solving means you actually need what x equals. So number 11 is nice because it's already factored for us. So we can jump right to that last step that we typically do, where you just set each parenthesis equal to 0. And then we just use our Algebra 1 skills and we solve each of these individually, and we get our two answers. 6 and negative 3 over 2. So those are my two answers for number 11. Number 12, it's still factored for us, so we don't have to do any factoring. We have two parts, just like we did in the previous. Even though you don't see two sets of parentheses, you still have two parts. You have this, and you have this. So we're going to set each part equal to 0. So set the purple part equal to 0, and then set the orange part equal to 0. And solve each of them individually. How do you get rid of negative 3 times x? You divide by negative 3. So one answer is x equals 0. The other one, subtract 7. And you get x equals negative 7. So there's my two answers for that one. Okay, number 13. Now it is not factored for us. We don't see the parentheses, so what we have to do is we have to apply the skill of factoring that we did on page 1, and then we need to set it equal to 0 like we just did. So just like the first page, I'm checking for a GCF always first. Divide both of them by what the GCF is, which is 5. They also have an x in common. Take the one with the smaller exponent. Whatever you get when you divide goes in the parentheses. 2 minus 1 becomes x to the first. Negative 20 divided by 5 is negative 4. And now exactly the same as number 12, I'm going to set each part equal to 0. 5x could equal 0. Or x minus 4 could equal 0. And then I use my Algebra 1 solving skills, and I get my 2 answers. So my 2 answers here were 4 and 0. Okay, number 14. Looking at this one, I could tell right away there's no GCF. They don't all have B's. There's no number that's going to go into 1, 6, and negative 7 divided by 1. There's also no number in front here, which is nice, because then I can jump right to the diamond and think what 2 numbers multiply to negative 7 and add to 6. So then I think about what 2 numbers multiply to negative 7 and 6. It ends up being 7 and negative 1. I could jump right to my factored form. What times what is b squared? B times b. Keep my plus 7 for positive 7 and my minus 1 for negative 1. The difference between this problem and the one on the first page is that it's equal to 0. So I have to do that additional step that I've done on the past few. I have to set them each equal to 0 and solve. So b becomes negative 7 is one answer and positive 1 is the other. So notice in all the solving ones, I'm actually getting numerical answers. Okay, moving on to the next one here. Number 15. The problem with number 15 that's different than the other ones is it's not equal to 0. We need to make it equal to 0 before we can do anything. So the first step I need to do is I need to move this to the other side. How do you move a positive 14 to the other side? You do the opposite, so you subtract it. And then it equals 0. Now number 15 is exactly like the problem we just did. What 2 numbers multiply to negative 14 and add to 5? It's 7 and negative 2. Set them both equal to 0. And do the opposites to get the answers. So negative 7 is one answer. Positive 2 is the other. Okay, last problem on page 2. So again, with number 16, very similar to number 15, it's not equal to 0, so I'm forced to get this equal to 0 first. Well, I don't want this here. How do I move this to the other side? I do the opposite, so I subtract it. The reason this one's a little bit trickier is because you need to make sure you put it in the correct order. The order should go squared term, middle term is the one with the x. I'm subtracting it because I'm moving it to the other side, so I'm doing the opposite, and my positive 16 just stays. And now it's equal to 0. I check for a GCF just like all the others. Unfortunately, there's no GCF. There's no number that goes into 5, 24, and 16. So I'm forced to do the diamond right away. So I do my 5 times 16, and I end up getting 80, negative 24 on the bottom. The 2 numbers that multiply to positive 80 and add to negative 24 are negative 20 and negative 4. So these 2 replace the middle term here, and I rewrite the original problem. Middle term gets replaced by negative 20. Don't forget to add the x. And negative 4, don't forget to add the x. My plus 16 still stays. Then I do factoring by grouping, GCF. And GCF again. Just don't forget there's a negative right here, so include that negative. Okay, now I need to put whatever's on the outside in one parenthesis and whatever's on the inside in the other. And similar to the first page on all those steps, but now we just need to do that additional step and actually solve and set them equal to 0. So do plus 4. Divide by 5. There's one answer. Plus 4. There's my other. So x equals 4 over 5 and 4. Okay, that's it for page 2. I will make another video on page 3.